Hi, this is Rupert G from the Hello Deli, and you're currently watching the Letterman podcast.
La, 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 la. Welcome once again to the Letterman podcast. My name is Mike Chisholm. We're going to do Felicia Collins part 2 coming up right here. Had a few people comment on the way we ended part 1 with Felicia revealing that David Letterman actually has perfect pitch. We're going to get right back into it with that revelation. Normally we would shoot an outro and I could blather on about a few things to finish the episode, but full disclosure, I was actually sick as a dog last week, and we wanted to get the episode up, so we foregone, but it wouldn't be foregone. We forewent. We decided to omit the outro and just end it there with the revelation that David Letterman is has a perfect pitch. So we're going to get right going on that. Felicia is obviously a delight. We get into a whole bunch of very cool late show deep dive stuff with Felicia today. We just appreciate her. Can't wait to have her on the next time. Got some great episodes coming up. Jason Zinneman, who wrote the David Letterman, the last giant of late night, in 2017. We've recorded him. He's in the can already. Nadine Henley is coming on. A bunch of other people. She's one of the High Ho girls. A bunch of other people are coming on as well. Got some very cool surprises. And we're working on something for our year anniversary. Our year anniversary is April 20th. And we're working on something fun. We might have something very cool to either announce or not announce before our anniversary episode on April 20th. So thank you very much for everybody who is supporting the Letterman podcast with your eye holes or your ear holes or any other body parts, I suppose. Thank you very, very much. Please like, please share, please subscribe. I don't want to ask this of you anymore. And I appreciate the fact that you're the ones that are here listening, and you got to put up with me asking to like, share, subscribe. We just want to get to a certain kind of threshold. And once we get there, we're rolling, and I never have to ask again. And I promise you, I will never ask again. We just want to take things to a little bit higher of a level on the subscription level, whatever platform it is that you're listening to. So if you haven't yet subscribed, if you just kind of watch it or listen to it every week, if you wouldn't mind hitting the subscribe button, leaving a couple positive comments, rating us where it's appropriate to rate us, we would very much appreciate that. Oh, I feel like a shill asking for these things. I feel like who is the kid said, "Please serve me, I have some more." Is that Tiny Tim? I feel like please serve. Is that Oliver Twist? I don't know. I don't know about that stuff. I know about Letterman. That's all I know. And I know that Felicia Collins is coming on here. This episode brought to you by Rupert G and the Hello Deli. Go to hello-deli.com if you want to get official Late Show with David Letterman merchandise or Rupert G merchandise. I mean, we're all getting up there. We're not all going to be doing this forever, right? So get it while you can. And I just appreciate every single person who watches, listens, and sends feedback. We've been getting quite a bit of feedback lately too. So we're obviously doing something right. Please bear with us as we see the things that we're doing wrong and try and fix them. It's like holes in the bottom of the boat that we're going to patch up. But that's what we're doing here at the Letterman podcast. Please join the Facebook group. Come on out. Help steer the direction of this show. Talk to me about guests that you want to see, questions you want to have asked, all of that kind of stuff. We want to be as interactive as possible as a community. And again, very grateful, appreciative. So without further ado, Felicia Collins, part 2. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he knew so much music. And another thing I didn't know until after being there was Dave's got perfect pitch. And I don't even know if Dave knows what that is, but he's got it. So you don't have to be a musician to have perfect pitch. It's just something you're born with. And
yeah.
he would like be humming something, and then it'd be a whole segment later, and it'd come back to his mind, and he'd hum it again, and it would be in the same key. I would hold up the guitar and go, "Well, I'll be darned. That's the right key. How did he know?" I mean, it's 20 minutes later. We've played 5 more songs since then, and there's been 3 commercials and 2 interviews. and he would just sing it, just hum it because it was still on his mind from earlier, and it would be in the right key. I was like, this man's got perfect pitch.
What was better, his pitch or his drumming?
Well, I just called his pitch perfect.
There you go. There you go.
So, what's better than perfect?
No, there is nothing. Well, I can't. I'm so happy doing this right now. Okay. So we get later on into there's a question. When did Paul? Okay, I as a viewer and a fan, I always wanted to know about the second show going on. And the second show going on was Paul talking in the microphone to you guys and gals.
Right.
Was Paul's microphone to you all there right away, or was that something that developed like after the horns showed up and all of that?
Yeah, that came a little later. That wasn't right away.
Okay.
But I can't tell you exactly when that happened. Maybe Don knows.
Yeah, he probably does. And speaking of which, let's talk about the horns. Okay. When the horn section showed up, you remix things a little bit more. Second keyboardist gone. The three horns show up. Bones shows up. I can imagine that we've had him on the show. The idea of how amazing of a musical arranger he is. It seems that his skills coming into this thing, and plus his history with Paul, Blues Brothers, all of that, it seems to me that was kind of a perfect compliment. You're going to add horns, adding him as well, and the complemented skills that he has. That sure gave the band much. In my opinion, it was a nod to kind of the big Tonight Show bands of old, but with a new modern feel to it. It must have been very cool for you. Like, again, loving the, Sly and the Family Stone, loving these big funk bands. You must have been really excited when the horns showed up.
Well, I don't know if I would say I was really excited. I just remember thinking, what you just said it perfectly, that it was sort of like a nod to the style of the big band thing. It's like in a way it was a way to get a little bit of that at the same time as having our rock and roll band.
Yep.
And it definitely opened it up to how much more we could do. Like even the play-ons and like after the horns got there, then there was nothing that we couldn't play. Literally, like from any genre at all. Having the horns just made us go that extra few miles down the road to cover the whole throughway after that.
You guys like that's if I were to say there's a genre that I would like the CBS Orchestra to put an album out that was just one genre, it probably would be like a blues funk, like a funk band. Like you guys were again. I attended the show. I think it was 2005 back. That was Eddie Brill would have been the. I remember seeing in my memory. Dance to the music and Eddie Brill getting to sing the low part at the
gonna add somebody.
Yeah. And like that band, to me, if there was one song that would kind of encapsulate what you guys could do, that was it. And you had the place just lit up. Were there ever any times, I know you played that song in particular quite a bit, were there ever any songs that kind of like when you talk about Cyndi Lauper, I don't want to play those songs, I played those songs too many times. Was there ever any songs that you played so many times where you actually got a little bit bored of it, or did you never feel that?
Never felt that.
Oh, I love hearing that.
Nope, not once. There was just too many songs to play something that often where we would get sick of it. It just was impossible to happen.
Amazing. I'm so, us people who love this show so much, love hearing that. There's so many of you that are so grateful and actually were present in the moment, knowing how grateful you were and how special of a time it was. And when we talk about this and it comes out, that's such a cool thing. That's what we would hope to hear. Now let's go the other way. Were there ever any songs where, during rehearsal, okay, we're going to play this one here. Felicia, you're going to sing that one there, something like that, where you're like, yeah, right on. Were there any that was sort of your favorites to do?
Oh yeah, we all had our favorites.
What were some of yours?
We had to, like be conscious of making sure that everybody got to do their favorites, not just me or not just any one person. Like everybody had their favorites. Everybody brought songs into the band. Everybody suggested songs, and everybody had songs that they loved and they loved singing and playing. And Paul just found a way to have it all happen, like where we could get to them all, because we played every day, so we could get to anything. And the fact that those guys were so good, they were such awesome musicians, that it wasn't an imposition to ask for a new song to be learned, because they could learn it like that. It was never, it was never like, oh God, now we gotta learn this. They were so instantaneous with it that you could suggest, like, hey, let's play, I Want You Back Tomorrow. Well, not that, because I'm sure they already knew that, but whatever. Shame by Evelyn Champagne King. It's like, you knew that they could learn it in 3 minutes. So it never bothered them. No one was ever bothered by being asked to learn a new song, because we could learn it instantly.
Yeah.
And we all had our favorites. Sure. My favorites, it changed over the years, because we would have different ones in rotation.
Yeah.
So like, it ended up where some of my favorites were Only So Much Oil in the Ground.
There's a performance of you singing that. There's a video of you singing that entire song online. That was, I don't know if you did it on the show or if it was just somebody captured it during a break, but anyway, it is fantastic. Highly recommended. Go watch that.
Lasted like 15 minutes or so, because sometimes we don't know like when we're coming back from commercial, like they'll count it down and then stop it, and then we have to keep going. Like we never know, and then all of a sudden it's like 3, 2, 1, and then we just bang, we just end it. Ta-da! We just never know. So Paul's getting the feed in his ear from the AD, and he's the one that is keep letting us know when we're going to wrap it up, and he has to balance that. And I guess it became second nature to him. Like he really knows how to do that. Another song that I love singing was "Weak as I Am" by Skunk and Nancy. That was one of my favorites. And all my favorites were like kickoff songs.
Yeah.
And by kickoff songs, I mean the ones that we would start the set with. The first song after the monologue would be the kickoff song.
There was one, and I'm gonna. This could be a high wire act that just I fall on my face on. There was one that you did the lead vocals on that going out to commercial. It started like this, and then you kicked into the vocal right away after that. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say that?
No.
Okay, it doesn't matter. I'll find it and I'll send it to you, because I know that I know.
Now I want to know. It's like, I want to know.
And then you kicked right into a vocal on it. I always loved when you sang, and it was so cool whenever you had a highlight performance, and would do that. We talked with Will about when he did the big version of why is it leaving me right now?
The cake song.
The cake, MacArthur Park. I can't believe that left me for a second there. He had that major moment, and I just loved what you guys did and how you elevated that song. Were there any other moments like that where you guys were asked to play a certain song and elevate it up that come to mind when that were a highlight for you?
Well, there weren't many like that. I mean,
that was that was decadent.
Will Lee's. Oh my God, Will. That's like that's such a famous performance in itself. I can't really say that that's part of a group of things that happened like that. That was very special, very special. And Will was just awesome.
He was so good.
Oh my God. And he's playing while he's singing that, which is, oh my man.
And blocking. He's moving around. He ends up on top of the cake. Like
he had to end up on top of the cake and then hit that high, long note at the end. I mean, he was just, man, I have to give him his props. Will Lee is so major. He is so wicked. He is such a genius and so gifted, such a badass, and maybe he gets the best guy award.
Yeah, I mean, and by the way, your part in that was amazing as well. Don just said that, and I totally agree. Your part in that was unbelievable as well. But I want to talk about your vocal
Sorry.
range. You have a hell of a vocal range too. Like you hit them high notes as well when you go for it. Do you do a lot? Will talked when he was on here, talked about his vocal exercise that he does. He's like, I'm pretty religious about it, half hour a day kind of a thing. Do you spend a lot of time with your warming up this piece?
I warm up before a show.
Yep.
Before I don't do vocal exercises every day because I guess I don't really consider myself like a singer like that, But before I have to sing, I'll warm
Could have
up.
fooled me, Felicia.
Well, thank you, but yeah, Will, like Will's, he's more disciplined and more vigilant, than I am. That's why he's like light years ahead of me, and it's probably because of things like that he does his exercises every day. Maybe I should adapt more of Willie-isms like that.
Now I think whatever you're doing, you should just keep doing, as far as I'm concerned. But what do I know? You got it. Yeah. Dawn just said that I might have been thinking of Soul Survivors, Express Way to Your Heart.
Oh!
I think that's it. I think that's exactly the song, actually. There it is. And then you kick right in.
What did I tell you? Yeah. I've been trying to get to you.
There it is. Thank you. Oh my God. That's the moment.
Right. Oh my God.
You just gave me goosebumps, girl. You just put them all over me just by doing that.
Don Giller, I love you. That's a song I snatched from my childhood. And Paul let me do it. Like that's what I meant. Like you could just ask for things and it would happen. That's why I love that gig so much. I would just pull songs that meant something to me as a child. And next thing I know, we're doing it on television. How could you not love a gig like that?
Oh.
How could you not?
Thank you for that pull, Dawn. I appreciate that.
Thanks,
that's
Don.
the moment. Okay, so the weird thing,
called Expressway to Your Heart. That's
Soul Survivors, Expressway to Your Heart. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna listen to you sing that lyric just on this, the way you just did that. I'm gonna do that like 5 times. I love that. You just brought back the I want to talk about the show within the show again for a second, the clever stuff. Will talked about how Paul would crack you guys all up by, I think I'm going to say here. He would pick the folks who came out either with a toupee or a weave or some sort of follicle assistance of some sort,
assistance. I love it.
That's hilarious to me. Were there ever any other kind of inside jokes that you could think of as I mentioned that where you guys had your own little thing going on there?
Where do I start? I mean, once we
the show within a show, folks.
Once we got the ear monitors,
yeah,
and we could speak to each other unbeknownst to anyone else in the world, game on. And I mean, every musician I've ever met is pretty much someone who could have had a calling as a comedian also. And just the jokes cracked constantly during the show. I mean, it's nonstop. It is nonstop. The things that I'm hearing in my ears, saying in other people's ears. Yeah, that went on constantly, Mike. Constantly.
I love that. I love that you miss it so much because so many of us feel the exact same way. I mean, gosh, that show was one of those things where it put so many people to bed again for decades. Like, and I could say that for decades. It was the last thing, no matter how my day could have been up high. It could have been the lowest of the low. But when you guys finished my day with me, it felt like family. That's why we do the show, is we want to acknowledge that and basically try and keep that communal thing alive and learn about these little stories that you're talking about. It's so amazing, Felicia, to hear you talk about this. I want to be respectful of your time.
It is for me too, Mike. Let me tell you, you doing this, because I miss it so much, it's making me so happy to just go back through my memories and share them with you, because you're helping me hang on to it as well. I appreciate it.
A few people have expressed that sentiment to me, and there's nothing There's not a lot of a higher compliment that I could take than that. So thank you for that. It's an honor to do this. I don't know why I have this compulsion. I've talked about it a few times on the show. I'm astounded how quickly Johnny Carson was forgotten. And he's not completely forgotten, but he certainly, nobody thinks of him as the biggest star in the world anymore. And that's what he was. That's not going to happen to you guys and gals on my watch. I'm not going to let that happen. And I just feel the need to, again, you guys did so much great stuff, but it was just so quickly forgotten because there was another show the next day and another show the next day and another show the next day. And it's up to us to kind of pick up some of these amazing treasures that were dropped and talk about them again. And so this is such a thrill. The other thing too, apparently you're not just a musical artist. Someone told me that you with a blank piece of paper and a Sharpie can do amazing things. Apparently you're the greatest for a visual artist with a Sharpie. Care to elaborate?
Well, I guess you're speaking of my visual art talent, if you will. Yeah, I didn't go to school to study music, but I did go to school to study art because I could always draw even when I was little. And, honestly, it's the only thing that I'll say. Everything else that I speak about, as far as I'm concerned, is what's supposed to be a quote unquote talent. It's always like, depends on who you ask, talent to the beholder. But when it comes to drawing, I will totally let you know that I can draw like Leonardo da Vinci.
Oh, there we go. What kind of stuff do you like to draw? I
like drawing portraits of people with a pencil. And because it's such a challenge to make it look like a black and white photograph. And, I'll do color when it's like really a special occasion, but I really love pencil. That's like my favorite. And I've given gifts to people, portraits of themselves or their loved ones, where I just look at a photograph and I'll just draw it and that's it. And that got me into art school, that got me in. They were like, I remember going for my interview when I was 18.
Yeah.
And we left after we had our little initial meeting and we had to put our portfolios down on the table and then they sent us out to lunch.
Yeah.
So I went out and just walked around. I didn't know anybody, didn't have anybody to talk to. So I just came back to the room just to wait until it was 1 o'clock when we would reconvene. And I saw that they had given marks to our portfolios. So I went over and looked at mine and they gave me an A+. And I called up my mother and I said, Ma, I'm in. She said, they let you know already? I said, no, but they gave my portfolio A+. So I know I'm getting the acceptance letter. They're gonna let me in. So and then I studied graphic design. It was called advertising design and graphic communication. That was my major. And then the only thing I did with it was like probably make my bitch slap t-shirt.
Because that was the name of your band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was about it. And my flyers.
Well, you clearly have impressed a lot of people with that skill. And again, just being able, I wish I had that skill to be able to draw things like that. It's a mystery to me, but a beautiful one. By the way, if ever you do auction off a guitar, I'm definitely going to be in the running for it. But if and when I win that auction, I will ask you to make a little drawing on the guitar and we'll hang it up somewhere.
Are you a guitar player?
But yeah, unfortunately though, I'm also a null guitar player. So to the point where I'm a lefty, so I play left-handed guitar. Oh. Okay, so there's that. I've got 3 of them. I am good enough that I can rhythm
down, or do you play?
No. I actually get the left-handed guitar.
Okay.
I've got an Ovation, and I've got a really nice solid top Takamine that I keep in my other office, and I'll play that between clients and things like that. But I'm only good enough. I know enough chords that I can basically sing along and play rhythm in a decent way. That's all I am. But I love it so much. Music I'm a karaoke king. I love that. It just pours out of me.
Do you have an electric guitar, Mike?
I have one. I have a Fender. Not a Fender. Sorry, a Gibson Flying V. An Arctic
Really?
White one that's, well, okay, and again, I don't play it very well. I'm okay on the rhythm part of it, but Lenny Kravitz is like, I love Lenny Kravitz
Yeah, me
so
too.
much, like so much, and he has an Arctic White Flying V that he has, and I was like, when I taught myself how to play these chords, I'm like, I just have to have that guitar. It took a year and a half because Gibson, they only flipped their machines to make left-handed guitars once in a blue moon. So I put the
Yes.
order in and they flipped them, and I got it about a year and a half later. So
Oh,
anyway,
nice.
that's
Oh, wow. That's a
um,
hell of a guitar to have,
but
man.
I'm terrible. Okay. It's just enough for me to let it out a little bit.
But it gives you
Um,
pleasure, yes?
oh, very much so. Very much so. Well,
Yeah.
okay, this is something that I want to ask about you. And we are going to get to the advertisement of what you're doing. I want to get that out there too, because I think that's really, it's cool that you're doing this. But
Oh,
there's
okay. I
two
think
things
this-
I want to touch on, and they might be the same thing. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
When you and I started getting to know each other a little bit, I talked about how, if Walter and company end up making this an official deal, and I can expand, I want to have very badly a second show called Live at Letterman that just straight up focuses on the music of it. And I kind of told you, I said, I want to do this. And
Yeah.
your immediate response, which is one thing I just adore about you, your immediate response was, so do it. Like you want to do it, so do it. Like you seem to have this drive in you. And this is the other thing I want to marry it to, because there's no way I'm going to do a podcast with you. This might be the only one we ever do. You have a standing invitation to come back anytime, but if this is the only one, I have
Don't tell
to
me
talk
that,
about.
man. I could
I
be
have
bothering
to
you every day. Hey, I thought of something else to tell you.
Good. Yes. Write it down. You're in anytime you friggin' want, man. I love it.
All right.
But
So go
I
ahead,
would
sorry.
be I wouldn't be good at this job if I didn't ask you about being a badass woman in a male dominated genre, business, all of that stuff. And I almost think that the two might be related. Your drive caused you to kind of push through, and if you did receive resistance because of the woman thing, you just kind of pushed through that. And I wonder if that was a cognizant thing. Have you ever experienced that in something where you're like, no, I had to push through, and that's where this drive came from, because I am a woman having to prove myself? Was it just that your guitar playing skills just like, hey, this is it, and you kind of mic drop, let your talent speak for itself? Or what was it like coming up in this in the world of entertainment, being a woman, many times having to be that much better than the guy next beside you? And again, I'm making assumptions, but I think I'm bang on.
Wow, there's so much in there that you just, Mike. There's so much. There's like a lot of yes and a lot of no.
Okay.
All right, let me just take a piece at a time.
Sure.
Well, I think as far as it being harder on me as a woman, I probably didn't even realize it.
Okay.
Until later. I think that probably went over my head a million times. Like I didn't even know until maybe as I got better, then I could start to see like, hey, wait, like you just, and then you'd have to like show them. But the thing is, when it comes to music, I think everybody's a slave to the rhythm. So even if you want to be racist and if you want to be sexist, if you're a slave to the rhythm, you can't. Because if somebody can kill it, you just give in to that. I really don't. I never had to go through the whole thing battling sexism, because I could play, and that's all that mattered. Like to anybody who wanted to play with me, like they didn't care what package I came in. All they cared is like, damn, she sounds like that, and that's all that mattered. So in a way, and kind of in the early days especially, it was my ace in the hole, because I wasn't a million times better than all the guys, but it would get me picked first, because it's like, well, whoever's seen anything like this?
Oh, there you go. I love that.
Yeah, a chick that can play like this, it was like sort of, oh, get that. Now it's like 30 years later, girls who are 5 years old can play circles around my ass, because things have changed. But back in 1982, there weren't too many guitar players playing the way guitar players play now.
Yes.
Yeah, much less female.
Yes.
You know, but yeah, that was sort of my ace in the hole back then. That's what sort of gave me an advantage. You know, not an advantage in a way like what do you call that when you?
It's not steroids.
No,
it's
not like that.
You're unique. Like
I was thinking of I can't think of the term they use for you know that what they're trying to get rid of for black students.
Oh, diversification.
Not even that. What's the other term when they give you they try to, you know, you're there because of trying to get a certain quota filled black students in the college. They call
up in Canada, we call that diverse. You want to have diverse standards or whatnot. But
yeah, they got some kind of term for it down here because I remember they said that
like affirmative action almost. Like
that's it.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah.
It wasn't an affirmative action thing.
I gotcha. Dawn just said it as well. There you go.
It was just that being it was just a novelty.
Right.
And it was a novelty that where they didn't have to sacrifice the playing to get the novelty.
Right.
So it worked to my advantage when I was younger. It really did. So I didn't have to fight that, you know, I didn't have to fight sexism in that respect when it came to the playing. You know, the sexism just happens when you're a woman in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say this, you know, you don't seem to suffer what so many of the people who worked for Dave and Company over the years seem to have the affliction of self-deprecation the way that some of them do. But I'm going to go a step further, and I'm going to say thank you for being the influence that you are. My granddaughter, who is my favorite human on the planet, looks at people like you and says, I can do it. And if people like you don't exist, she doesn't say that. And I know for a fact that you stuck out the way that you did. There are girls who picked up guitars who said, I can do this because of you. And I just want to say, I appreciate so much that whether you knew it or not, you were carving a path in the jungle that would make a path to the fresh water a lot easier for girls out there. So thank you for doing that and sharing your gifts with the world the way that you have.
Sure. I'm pleased to have made that happen because it happened for me.
Yeah.
You know, seeing, I'm sure that had some kind of influence on me seeing Cynthia Robinson playing the trumpet in Sly and the Family Stone's band.
Yeah.
And I got a chance to tell Paul McCartney at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when he and I were chatting, just he and I on stage. They were all jamming up front, and me and him are back there chewing gum and talking. And
me and Paul,
yeah. Well, I didn't mean it to say it like that, but this
No. I don't. It's fantastic.
What happened was that it was shortly after his wife had passed away. So, the first thing I thought of when he came over to talk to me was to express my sympathies that his wife had passed away, because that's what was on my mind when I looked at him, and he came over and said hello and wanted to tell me what he thought about my guitar playing. All I could think of was to say, I'm so sorry about your wife. And he went right there and just wanted to talk about her. And I told him that, I said, you know what, when I saw her playing keyboards in your band, and I was just a little kid, I said, I think that locked in something with me to let me know I could do what I had already wanted to do. You know, it just gave me a little confirmation and a little boost. I said, because here was a woman not just playing in a rock band, but playing in Paul McCartney's band.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. And he just gave me this big hug, and just, you know, he was grateful that she had done that for me. And I assume probably a lot of other little girls too. So it doesn't surprise me that would happen from seeing me up there every night playing the guitar, and then you get these other little girls going, I'd like to do that, you know, especially little black girls.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's not something I would expect, but it doesn't surprise me if someone was to tell me that happened.
I love I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I love that you got game. I love the confidence that you have very, very much. And
Do I
and
sound like that? I sound
when
like
you're
I-
up on stage, absolutely.
Oh.
Like I watch you and I see a confident, like just artist with where the light and the charisma, just like, you're so charismatic to me. And I've
Oh,
always,
the ruse is working.
there we go. There's that self-deprecation that there it is right there.
That's what you were looking for.
You will never convince me it's a ruse ever. I want to talk about some of the things that you're doing right now, and we're gonna isolate this part of the video and throw it out there to see if we can promote the show as well. God damn, if I lived in New York, there are so many things I'd be doing if I lived in New York that have to do with people who used to work for Dave in some capacity, whether it be stand-up, whether it was people who were working for the band, the musical stuff. The collaborations that happen there are so great. Will's got the big concert coming up here. You've got a very cool gig I would love to go see. You and your band are playing. Is it the Sly and the Family Stone's greatest hits album? Is it
Yes.
Greatest Hits Plus? So what are you doing and when are you doing it?
Excuse me? What was that last part?
What are you doing and when are you doing it?
Oh, okay. Well, we're doing it. It's back by popular demand because we did it a year ago and it's sold out. And we're doing, it's February the 15th. Wednesday,
okay.
What I call Love Hangover Day, and we're going to be at the Cutting Room, which is my favorite rock and roll concert venue, club in New York City.
Where is it?
It's 44 East 32nd Street in Midtown on the East Side, and it's just, oh my God, it's so beautiful, and I'm friends with the owner, Steve, because I remember when he had the old Cutting Room way back in the day when we were just like young kids rocking and rolling around underground New York rock clubs. And this place is just so beautiful. And so we did it last year. And I used the band that I had as my core band for Felicia's Jukebox Live, which is something we were doing there every Wednesday for about 5 or 6 months before COVID hit. Yep. And it was like a pro night. It was like not just an open mic. It was a little bit different because it would be the professional musicians that would come and jam. And if they weren't on tour, they would come and get up on stage. And it was a way for us to see each other and be in contact again, because they had closed, New York had closed so many of the rock clubs that you didn't get to see live music anymore. And we didn't get to see each other anymore. You didn't get to see the musicians and the artists. And I knew everybody was missing that, and I knew everybody was missing each other. Yep. So I started this jam night called Felicia's Jukebox Live, which was like, I called it the Dope Pro Jam. And everybody would come through, like everybody who wanted to play. Bill Burr would play drums, and Chris Noth would get up there and sing the blues. And you had everybody, the Little Rascals and the guitar player from Matchbox 20, I forgot his name, but just whoever was around, with Bernie Williams from the Yankees, who is an awesome guitar player, by the way.
Oh my God, really?
Oh my God. Mike, he plays guitar as well, if not better, as he played first base for the Yankees. I mean,
wow.
Yes.
There's a compliment.
This is no exaggeration. Like, just Google them and YouTube them. You'll see what I'm saying. You'll see what I'm talking about. So just different people, like, Julio Fernandez from Spiral Gyra, and Sandra St. Victor, and Liv Warfield, and just, I mean, the list just went on and on and on. Like every week, this would happen. So I used the core band from that night to do this Sly and the Family Stone thing. And it was so hot last year. Like I said, it sold out. It was standing room only. That we kind of had to bring it back again. So we're doing it again February the 15th at the Cutting Room at 7:00. And
where can people get tickets?
You can go online, www.thecuttingroomnyc.com, I think, and just follow the link to the link to the events calendar. And
perfect. Yeah. How I gotta ask, how big is your ensemble? Because didn't Sly and the Family Stone have like 28 members or something like that? Wasn't it?
No.
How big is your band?
I'll tell you who Sly. There was Sly, his brother Freddie,
Yeah.
his sister Rose, his cousin Larry Graham on the bass. Okay, so Sly on keys, on organ and vocals. Freddie was guitar. Rose played electric piano. Larry Graham played bass. Yeah, Cynthia Robinson on trumpet. Jerry on the saxophone, and Greg Arico on drums. So there was 7 of them.
7 members. Okay.
And our band, there's 8 of us because I have 2 keyboard players, and one of them doesn't sing. So, you know, got an extra person.
I can tell you this, when my wife and I get a few things into place here, that's the kind of thing where we're jumping on a plane to go see. I can't wait. Is someone recording it? Are you gonna do you record any of these gigs, or are they one of those things where it's
Well,
like,
you
nope,
know
you got to
what?
be in the moment to experience it?
There's a woman, Avelle Finkelstein, who, that jam I told you about, she was there every Wednesday. She's the wife of the drummer, Lee Finkelstein.
Okay.
And she is our archivist. And thank God for her, because, I mean, I didn't know it was going to happen when I started it, but she had her perch up on the balcony, and she would record with her excellent camera all the performances at the cutting room. And they live, you know, in foreverness now because of that. She'll be, as far as I know, she's the only person who's filming. But then
Okay,
other people take their cameras and they get shots and little footage going on, you know.
Okay, so check out the Cutting Room NYC for those events. That's fantastic. I guess I hate to say we got to close it off, but we'll to be continued the next time, please. As we kind of close off here.
Well, let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Okay, let's keep going.
You can edit what you want.
Let's keep going. I mean, like, okay, so
because I want to talk about Dave some more.
Well, please, let's talk about Dave some more.
We didn't talk about Dave enough.
You ever done a Dave portrait?
No, I haven't, but you know, that's a good idea because he's got a lot of character in his face, because, you know, it's hard for me to just draw on command. Like, that's probably why, you know, I can do it better with music on command than with drawing. I really have to.
The muse kind of has to hit you. And
Dave's got a face like that would make me want to draw him. Yeah.
How about Paul? You ever draw Paul?
I never drew Paul. I never did. I never drew anybody in the band. You know, I haven't really been drawing that much in recent years, but that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good idea. I need to get back on my portrait game, and so yeah, I could probably do a picture of Dave. I would like to do a portrait of Dave, and I'd like to do David on the drum set, because to me that his drumming wasn't just whimsical. I think he really would like for himself to be a drummer because he's so appreciative of the music. And actually he could play. Like if he was to really do it every day, I think he could really be a decent drummer, because he would come to work every day right after his little rundown of his rehearsal. Then he would go behind the drums and play, you know, some doof crack. And I said, he's got good time. And he loved it. And he did it every single day for years until his heart surgery. Yeah. And after that, I think he was careful about exerting himself on the drums, but I felt like he missed it so much where I remember I bought him a drum set. I got him a Roland kit where he could listen in headphones. You know, he didn't have to
the
bang
electronic deal. Yeah.
Yeah. So that way he could play, he could hear himself, and he could dial up the intensity without really having to use his body to hit the drums that hard. And that way he could still enjoy playing the drums.
Oh, that's beautiful. I don't know. I've heard a lot of stuff. I've read a lot of books, all that. I've never heard that one. I don't know if anybody's ever, I don't know if that's really sweet that you did that. That's very cool.
Well, I like know if something happened where I couldn't play the guitar and somebody came up with a way where I could. Yeah. I know what that would mean to me.
Absolutely. I also like the idea that Anton, rehearses, gets everything the way he likes it, and then Letterman comes in and goes and messes up his drums. I like the idea. I like the idea of that happening at least once, if not more than once. That's great. Were there ever any bits? Like, I think, speaking of Anton, he was in so many bits throughout the show. Whatever it might be, whether it's little soliloquies or monologues that he would do, or Brian Tedda suddenly sitting on his lap as the creepy guy, that kind of a thing. Anton was always part of things like that. I'm trying to think, were you ever approached by any of the writers? Were you ever, was there ever anything where it's like, let's make Felicia part of the show, that either didn't happen or that did happen that you want to, that brings the memories? I asked that.
There was one that did happen where they had this big, gigantic yellow top hat. It was as big as what I'm doing here. And it was supposed to be like a sign of springtime coming. So the camera would, I started off the show where I'm wearing this big ass hat, and then finally, like after the first commercial or something, it comes back, the show comes back on, and Dave would start talking about, the spring is in the air, the springtime has come. What are some signs that spring has sprung? And then you see different people in the studio like, well, Dave, for springtime, I'm doing this. And you see, anyway, they get to me and I take the big yellow hat off, and there's a tiny little yellow one, just like it, with like a couple of robins and some robin's eggs or some stupid shit. that I remember. And the only other time I remember is when
that was March 4th, 96, by the way.
Okay,
Dawn just ported that to me. March 4th, 96. So anyway, keep going.
And this one, I don't know if Don knows about this, because this is the one that didn't happen.
Oh.
Okay, but he might know it because he seems like he knows everything.
Yeah.
We were in LA. One of the times we were shooting the show in LA for a week. And I got a call before it was time to get to the studio. I think Daniel, Paul's assistant, called me and said, like, the producers or the writers want me to come in early. We're going to do a shot where the band is going to be in our underwear. And I said, should I just hang up on you now, or? And he laughed. He said, I kind of thought that's what you would say. I said, yeah, they should have thought that too. I said,
yeah.
That ain't gonna happen.
We're not the Red Hot Chili Peppers. That ain't.
Honey, you're not. No, that's no, 1,000 times no. So then I get there. And they tried to do it, but I'm the only one standing there fully dressed, and these guys are standing there in the boxers, and I'm like, why? I mean, surely you didn't think I was going to do that shit. And there was no way that was happening. So I guess it didn't make any sense with one band member standing there fully dressed, so they scratched it. But I was like, who was the sicko that thought there was even a chance in hell I was gonna stand there in my underwear, honey, please.
The writers spend a lot of time in the dark.
I guess so.
Let's talk about running jokes. I think about Dave's the last one that I can really think of is him going up to the live performer at the end and saying, hey, are those your drums? And how many times did he say that? Are those your drums? Are those your drums? To the, it just was, continual.
Yeah, right.
And I love the long joke, the jokes that go through. There was a time where Dave called Paul Johnny Car Wash for what seemed like ever. Things like that. The cape is something that I think is really, really cool. Right. That was a really awesome. I don't even know how long the cape went on for, and how many people got a chance to do it. We had Vinny Favale was on. He talked about he was one of the last ones that got to put the cape on Paul. That must have been a pretty cool thing to watch play out all the way.
Oh, that was great. That became like a thing, and I just loved it because I never knew who was going to be the person to come out and put the cape on Paul. Like we never knew until it happened. And it was something I looked forward to. It was always a Friday show, I think.
And it was a Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Right.
Yep.
What was that song called?
Child is the father to the man.
No, that wasn't it. What's the song, Don? Something about I can't help but love you. What was that song? Come on, Don. What's the song?
It's coming.
It's kind of a long title.
I love you more than you'll ever know.
That's
Al,
it.
Al Cooper sang it on the first Blood, Sweat, and Tears album that was called Child is Father to the Man. That's where that came.
Okay. All right.
Wow.
So yeah, I love you
My
more.
man.
I love you more than you'll ever know. When we started that song, dun, 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 yeah.
Yes.
And Paul would sing that, and he'd be singing his heart out. And then after the second chorus, then all of a sudden he would come out from behind the organ, come out on the front of the stage and face the audience. And he's just singing his heart out. His heart is broken. She left him, and he's just dying. And then at one point he drops down to his knees, and then Kareem Abdul-Jabbar would just walk out from behind the stage with a cape, put the cape over Paul, oh jeez, poor bastard, and get him up and try to walk him out, and Paul would throw the cape off and come back and fall back down on his knees. This was every week, and it was hilarious. I mean, the musical piece was brilliant. I mean, it was great. Paul sang his ass off.
Yep.
The band sounded great. It's a great song, of course, but just the surprise every week, because I never knew who was gonna come out there. And then finally it was actually James Brown, because that whole act came from James Brown's act with the
Absolutely.
Cake. Yeah. So
and they still to this day, like Will and I'm certain when I have Paul on here, he'll talk about it too. Talk about the highlights of late night. One of the greatest moments of late night with David Letterman was when they had James Brown on, and so there's some full circle things going on there.
Yeah. There's such a deep tie into James Brown and Paul Shaffer. And eventually, I think it was James Brown might have been the last one to do it, to come out and put the cape on him. And that just blew everybody's mind. Shit. Yeah. And I remember the first time James Brown came on the show. I mean, to answer one of your first questions, I was like, wow.
That's royalty.
Just one after the other, the people I grew up just so close to my heart. You know what music means to you, it does me too. And to have James Brown come out, he was going to be the sit-in guest, because we would often have a sit-in guest that would be on stage with us for the entire show and play with them through the commercial breaks. And one night it was James Brown. So when he walked out in the afternoon for the rehearsal, he was by himself. There was no entourage, no publicist, no person to hand him his throat lozenges or, it was just him.
Yep.
And he came out and he leans on the front of the keyboard. He's talking to Paul, and Paul is introducing them to me, and he already knew the other guys. And he's Paul's telling them we thought we would start with I Got the Feeling or whatever it was. And everything James would just nod his head that's cool. He was with whatever Paul wanted to do, which really touched my heart, because everybody knows James Brown is notorious for, he runs a tight ship.
Yeah. He
is the captain, and he knows exactly what he wants to do, and there's no margin for missing it, So for him to just give it up to Paul like that and just say whatever you want to say, whatever you want to do, Paul, whatever you want to do, Paul. And I just said, wow, he trusts Paul so much. He has so much respect for Paul that, he's just letting Paul tell him, we're going to play this, James, Paul called him Godfather. But, it's just, he was so relaxed. He wasn't worried about a thing. He just knew Paul had it. And that has struck a chord with me that has never left till this day.
The markers like that mean something when a master comes in and just, the trust of a master is one of those things. And you truly know that you're collaborating at that point. It's 100% collaboration where they're just giving what they give, you give what you give, and that's it. And there's not a lot of worry on top of that. Paul talks a lot in his book about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I mean, never mind having this amazing thing being on the hottest, and in my opinion, the best variety show of all time, having all these people, the same stage where the Beatles played first, all of these amazing moments. The other part of that, and it's ironic, the 2 times I went and saw the show live were the times there were no top 10 lists because Dave was at the desk. I never saw a top 10 live because both shows that I went to, I think one was Wynwood in 05, right after the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Dave admonishing the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for not putting you guys as a band, as a house band, into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And he did the same thing the last time I saw in April of 2015, the same deal. Now that notwithstanding, of course, it goes without saying that band that you have, all these moments, if you watched any of the ceremonies, the moments that were created with the recipients or the tributes to the recipients that you guys all put together as the house band for that, of course you should fucking be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but never mind. Those are another set of moments that you got a chance to be a part of that any musician would be like I remember once you were quoted on saying, you know what, someone could hand me a Grammy for the greatest song of all time. I don't want that. I want what I had on like Late Show and these moments that you had. Those were the important things to you. I love that you love these moments so much. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, you saw just as many special, iconic, one-of-a-kind moments in that as well. Is that something that's going to come back again, or is that time past now?
Oh, I think we had our day already.
Okay, so the pandemic kind of stopped it, right?
No, I think we were out before that. I think.
Oh, were you?
I think the last time the band did it was 2016, maybe. And
then, so in 18 you inducted somebody then? Or
that was different. That wasn't us being the house band.
Okay, so that was you performing. You performed.
Yeah, this happened where they had me come in and help to induct Sister Rosetta Tharpe.
Yes.
Into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because of her position as the godmother of rock and roll, and her being this awesome guitar player back when 1930s or whatever,
she played like it looked like an SG too. It looked like a
she had a 3 pickup white SG with a whammy bar. And that was like unseen back then, Yeah, and she could jam too. She was Elvis's favorite guitar player. He would always tell Scotty, play it like Rosetta, play it like Rosetta. She definitely deserved her place in the Hall of Fame. So yeah, we just came back for that. The horn, Paul and myself and the horn players. And we played with Questlove on drums. And the Alabama Shakes bass player, I can't remember his name, I'm sorry. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. But he was on bass. And that was the last time I was there as a performer.
Okay, but for the previous, decade and a half or whatever it was, I mean, what an experience that was. 2 decades. Yeah. So like, how much prep went into that?
Quite a bit, because we'd have to do that while we were still doing Late Show with David Letterman.
Exactly. Yeah.
So those would be like really, those would be heavy days, because we probably rehearsed. We might have had like about 4 rehearsal days leading up to the induction ceremony, and we had all the material and things are coming in at the last moment, because people, the artists, like, they're being inducted, they don't know exactly what they want to do, or you know what I mean. It's like sometimes it's right down to the wire, like what she's gonna sing. What does Aretha want to sing? Oh, she doesn't know. Like, what, they might not know. What Sting want to do? Oh, he doesn't know yet what song. So you kind of just hanging until the last minute for some of it. And then some of the other stuff, you get to work on. But then you have 4 days where it's finally decided, and then we have our rehearsals, and there's so many people. Like, we leave the Letterman show, you might have to grab a bite to eat and then go to SIR around the corner onto the big stage. And, one by one, I guess there'd be like an hour or an hour and a half with each act, for over the course of 3 or 4 days.
Yep.
Yeah, where we would just rehearse what they're going to do for their induction. And then we, then come time to, we would do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday rehearsals. Then Monday night would be the show. So we would leave Letterman and we'd have a police escort to get it, because we literally had to be there. We had like 20 minutes to get, because we'd have to do the Letterman show dressed in whatever we would do, dressed in for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh,
With
that's
the guys,
cool.
it would be tuxedos. So we'd have to be dressed for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We'd have to have everything ready.
Yep.
We'd have to play instruments that we'd have our instruments sent over early to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and then have to play different instruments on the Late Show, because we didn't have time to pack up everything and bring it. Plus it had to be set, because we would have been there already in the morning for the sound check and the production run through from like 9 a.m. and then run back and do Letterman at, be back on stage at 2:30, do the Letterman show, then run out, jump in the cars, get a police escort across town to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame ceremony induction. So it was, for 5 days, it was like, like,
yeah.
but fun though, nonetheless.
Well,
still fun.
By the way, you've just, I think I love, there's a lot of full circle stuff happening here. One of the full circle things is, of course, your band is the perfect band to be the house show band for an event like that, where you have somebody getting right up to the event itself, where they're not exactly sure what they're going to do. There's a lot of looseness to it in the sense of, what are we going to play? What aren't we going to play? You guys are the best adapters around. You know how to adapt. And so of course you're the perfect band to be part of that event.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because we have so much experience at that. We're so used to that. Yeah. You can count on us. You can rely on us.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I learned from Paul. It comes down to him being able to rely on you. When the moment comes,
yep,
are you going to come through? That's all. That's what he cares about. And of course, he picks the nicest people for his band, because every single one of those guys are the nicest people you ever met in your life.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell kindness is certainly a definitive currency of all of you. Every single person that I've talked to. And I mean, there's a lot of kindness of this show wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Rick Sheckman and the kindness that he showed me. Shecky is so kind to me and how he kind of got me started here. When I moved over to Steve O'Donnell, again, Dave's one of his head writers for so long, so kind. And everybody who's introduced me to the family, the Pants family, kindness is one of those things, again, with self-deprecation as well. Everybody seems to not take themselves so seriously, but kindness is really, really high up there on the list of attributes. It certainly makes sense that your band stayed together with most of the key members, most of the time. The band really had the same members for the vast majority of the run. And I mean, I just even loved when you and I were talking about Ches and Bruce, and you're like, oh, as far as I'm concerned, they're members of the band the whole way.
They're still,
that you have is amazing.
Definitely. I still say their names too when I say the band members. Yeah. I include Ches and Bruce, of course.
Yeah. And I just love that. And I love the camaraderie that you all had. Any other, actually, there was a moment, April 28th, 95, Dave came and danced with you, apparently.
Oh my God, you just took that thought out of my mind just now. Yeah. I literally, you said, it's almost like you saw it playing on my forehead and said it.
I'd love to take credit, Felicia. It was Dawn. It was Dawn that did that. But,
okay, well, Dawn saw it playing on my head and said it. Oh my
We're in mind meld.
See, if I could only harness that for like Powerball, oh man, I got to figure out how to do that. But yes, that moment, yes. I just had that moment playing in my mind, dancing with him. And he's a good dancer. Who knew? I said, this man has done this before. Yeah. I can't remember why that happened, but I remember stepping out from behind the little bandstand wall, and I remember Larry Zinn cracking up later because I had to unplug the earphone pack.
Yep.
So you see the wires swinging around while Dave and I are dancing, and you see the ear pack wire swinging around.
Yeah, it changes the
Yeah.
shot a little bit.
He's very great. He's a very graceful dancer, turns out. Wow. Who knew? Who knew?
I do have two more things actually. The first one is going to be, you know, I wouldn't know who Warren Zevon is if it wasn't for your show. And I think that there's a lot of people who would say that as well. You know, Werewolves in London. Okay, that one hit, but the catalog went so deep, and his songwriting was so deep. But also, whenever Paul would go away on a religious holiday or something like that, Warren Zevon would be the guy most times who was kind of manning the band, I guess, if you want to call it that. There's my question. Did he lead the band when he came in, or were you guys leading him, kind of telling him, this is how we're doing it, don't worry about it, Warren, it's going to be a night off? How did that work?
Sort of like half and half. Like he could count on us to have his back, but we gave it to him to be the band leader because we were doing his music for the entire show. Yeah. So it came down to like what he wanted to do. It's like he knew we had his back, but we also deferred to him to be the band leader and to be the head of the band that night. So, you know, we didn't just dismiss him like, don't worry, Warren, you just do what we say.
Right.
No, it wasn't that at all. It was Warren Zevon's night each time that he did it. And what he wasn't used to, he didn't have to worry about. You know what I mean? We would just take care of it. We had his back, but all he had to do was do a little couple back and forth, a little repartee with Dave.
Yep.
And just do his music. That's all he had to do, and we had his back for that. So he didn't really have too much to sweat. We just let him be Warren Zevon and we were his band. It was that simple.
His last night, I mean, that last show, and I'm really grateful that Walter and the team at Pants with the YouTube channel, I'm glad that they've highlighted those moments already, playing those 3 songs. That had to be, and I mean, to this day, one of the things I'll say to people in times of need or whatever, or times where maybe if I need to remind myself, maybe I'm getting wrapped up in the wrong things or whatever, I'll say to myself, God, Mike, enjoy every sandwich. And I mean, it's such a beautiful sentiment, such a simple sentiment, especially if you like sandwiches. That night, that has to be one of those nights, like that night or 9/11 or the night that maybe Dave came back from surgery, whatever. There must be nights like that just kind of really solidify themselves in your heart. Is that one of those nights where it's really easy to remember, or it's so much emotion that night that you don't really go there?
Oh, no, there's nothing wrong with going there. It's very easy to remember because of how poignant it was.
Yeah.
And I mean, just enjoy every sandwich. Like ever since then, that has become like a slogan. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've said that stuck with me, as I imagine it stuck with so many people. Yeah. And the fact that album, the name of the album was My Rides Here, that's really what struck me, because I'm not sure when he named the album that, I don't think he realized at the time the significance of that title, calling it My Rides Here. I don't think at the time he named the album, I really don't think he realized the significance of it. But to me, that just gives me chills.
Yeah.
That's what he named the album. And when I think of Warren Zevon, like you said, because of Dave, I became such a fan of Warren's. I had no idea his discography and his writing. I mean, I knew like Werewolves of London and maybe one other song, but the depth into which I got into his music was because of Dave, and I appreciated him as such a brilliant songwriter and singer. And he was a sweet guy, and he was sexy, and I just loved him. I just loved him. And one thing that breaks my heart when I think about it now. It's not that show. It's just that I didn't realize that Warren had left a message on my dressing room phone, which I never checked. I didn't even know I had voicemail on that thing. And, I didn't know until Daniel called me to tell me that they switched to a new system and to enter a new code. I was like, what are you talking about? I said, I have voicemail? And then I listened to all these voice messages from like 10 years. And
oh my God.
one of them was Warren calling me to ask me to come play on his last album. And I never knew he had called. I never knew. And I felt so bad because I'm like, oh my God, does he think that I just didn't respond? Like every time I think of that, like even right now, I'm getting that feeling like, oh man, I never knew.
Wow. Let me encourage you. No, he didn't think that. It's not, but wow.
It just kills me.
Talk about, do you believe in ghosts? I mean, that is
it kills me. Every time I think about it, it just kills me. Like, oh God, of course I would have done, but like I said, I didn't even know I had voicemail.
You know what? It's funny. I'm a total Gen X kid. And so I have appreciation for Bob Dylan, like massive appreciation. And in his last performance, of the way that it was shot and everything. But to me, a guy like Warren Zevon is actually more Dylan-esque to me with, how I feel about life and things like that, compared to, say, even my older sister, how she would view Bob Dylan. Like I just look at Warren for whatever reason. I don't know what the age difference would have been between the two, but to me, his lyrics, there's only a few artists out there that I would consider interchangeable with a poet or even a philosopher, where I would almost say it's interchangeable what they are. But Warren, to me, is one of those people. And your show, the relationship that he had with your band, was the trail of breadcrumbs that led me to that observation. And again, there are so many parts of my life that were introduced to me because of that damn show. And Warren is near the tippy top of that list for me. He's just, and I mean, there are some times if I'm feeling melancholy, I will watch that performance of Mutineer. It was so beautiful. It was just such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And there are so many beautiful performances that you guys got to be a part of. The last questions that I have for you have to go with the last 6 weeks of the show. And I've said this many times, I will proclaim it. I don't know if you're aware of The Last Days of Letterman, but it's the best, in my opinion, it's the best book about Letterman and what you guys did out there. No offense to Bill Carter's books or Zinnemann's book, but this book, which chronicles the last 6 weeks of shows, and it goes through them all, took that momentum and that energy that you guys created for that last 6 weeks, that special things, and it put it into a treasure where it can be remembered forever. It talks about every guest, every major moment, that kind of a thing. The band had some really cool, Dave, again, apparently not sentimental. Well, in that last 6 weeks, Barb and company made sure that the sentimentality was in there, whether it was Tracy Chapman performing Stand By Me. I think about you guys with John performing American Pie.
Pie, yeah. And Dave asking him you okay? Because it was such a long number. And he goes over and he asks John, are you okay? John's like, yeah.
No one can break the tension of a sentimental moment like David Letterman. There's no one who can, come up with the exact right line to true. This could go really almost tears. No, we're going to go hilarious instead.
That's true.
And that's one of his gifts that we love so much. That last 6 weeks, clearly, every night showing memories of the shows of the past and moments and things like that. Even up to the very last night when Dave's going through the staff, classy. God, did he ever go out classy? He gets to the band. The first person that gets mentioned is you. And it was such a cool thing. That last 6 weeks leading up to it, any memories there that come to mind as I kind of throw this out there?
Only that it was it was different.
Mhm.
Like once we knew that we were doing our final shows, it felt different. Even though we did the show the exact same way, it just felt, I just remembered that it just felt different. Like and I think we all felt so grateful.
Hmm.
Yeah, we were grateful to David and to Paul and to the universe and to each other. You know, we really felt, that's what I remember feeling amongst us all, that we were very grateful. We weren't really sad.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's like,
Oh yeah. Yep.
yeah, it wasn't like, oh God, it's over. It's
No,
like,
that
yeah,
last 6 weeks was a celebration. There's no question. It was a celebration.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
we would have wanted it to continue, of course, but it was like, okay, well, hey, there's nothing to complain about. Like we had a great time. We had a
Yep.
great run. It was more than what one could even have expected it to be. So it's like, hey, you know, sometimes you gotta die because nobody can live forever, you know,
Yeah.
like, and it's nothing to be sad about. Nothing bad happened. It's just what it is. And I just remember we were very happy. We were
Yeah.
very happy. Like we knew it felt different because we were ending it, but at the same time, we were really upbeat. Really,
Yep.
nobody was down in the dumps or anything like that.
No.
Afterwards,
I was going to say the crash comes after.
yeah. I remember being depressed for like 6 months. I didn't get out of bed till like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You know, it was just
Wow.
like terrible.
Yeah. And really, again, you started there so young. And for a musician to get any sort of regular gig, you wouldn't think that happens for a long time, but you almost kind of did it in reverse, and where you had this regular gig for so long, and now you're done, but you're not done. You're not done being the badass chick that you are. You're amazing, and you got so much left to do. But then your career kind of goes back to the place of what many other musicians are doing, where there's you know, not a regular gig. You got to
Right.
kind of use your creativity again to create what the next move might be, or whatever, these collaborations that you have, obviously with the establishment of what you've become throughout that. Very interesting how that's kind of flipped for you compared to other musicians.
Oh, you're spot on with that. It's like I'm doing it like in reverse, like you said, like, you know, even for this show that I'm doing at the cutting room, it's like it's something that I'm putting together myself. You know, you would think that after all these years in the business that I would know exactly, you know, what the protocol is. But I had to have one of my best friends school me on like, well, Felicia, you know, like this is how, you know, gigging musicians, like I didn't know.
Like the business end of it, that kind of a thing?
Oh, yeah, it's like, you know, like they, you know, what she was explaining to me, how on like Saturday nights are like a big night for gigging musicians. Like
There you go. Yeah,
you know,
that's a full house.
Yeah, it's like the Saturday night has to be like their you know, their big ticket item, if you will. Like they can't just come down and like sing at the coffee shop with you on acoustic guitar on a Saturday night. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, I said, you know what?
That's adorable, Felicia.
I apologized to her. I said, you know, I'm so sorry that I feel so embarrassed that I didn't know this. And she said, no, you didn't know. She said, that's because you've been blessed, girl. Like I said, but at the same time, it's like kind of embarrassing that I would be, you know, someone would need to tell me this at this point in time.
Everybody loves a fish out of water story. That's adorable.
But but now I know.
Yeah.
You know, now I know. Like, you know, call people for the big shit on Saturday nights.
I'm going to finish this. Actually, there's one other thing I'm going to ask. One thing that I've been doing now that, you know, I'm sure Walter's going to change his number the moment, you know, I continue to keep doing this, but I pester him quite a bit. And more often than not, he's very kind to get back to me. Has the idea of a reunion show, something at Radio City, I know at one point they kicked around the idea of a Christmas show. I know that I hear there's legends about that.
Right,
If somebody suddenly said, we're going to do a one-night show at Radio City, a reunion show of some sort, whether it's Dave in the audience with just, you know, people of the day coming out or whatever. If there was ever any sort of reunion show, would you be in for that?
Of course.
All right, good.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely. Are you kidding me?
Let's build a groundswell, my friend. Let's build a groundswell.
Yeah, let's get it out, put it out there in the universe. Let's speak it into existence so it can manifest. Yes.
You're speaking my language, my friend. That's exactly what I was thinking. Have you kept up with Dave's obviously been doing some stuff. Since my next guest on Netflix is one of the questions I like to ask a lot of the longtime folks is if you could see Dave, one or two people, three people that you could see Dave do an in-depth long form conversation with, who would it be? For you, I'm going to mix it up a little bit. If there's three musical artists that you would like to see Dave do a long form conversation with, who would that be?
Oh, I need to think about that.
All right, for next time.
That's hard to just come up with right off the top like that.
Did you watch the Jay-Z episode?
No.
I highly recommend it. It's
Okay.
one of my favorite. Yeah, it's a really, really, really good episode where he had Jay-Z on. I just very much enjoyed that. And then on the Tina Fey episode, he did a cutaway too, where he went back to Chicago and watched Buddy Guy perform as well. So that was a pretty neat moment as well. I would love him to see. I would love to see you guys get back together and do something again in front of a live audience. I know that there are times where you guys sometimes will assemble and whatnot, but just please know from the Letterman fan base, we love you guys as a band, what you did, how talented you are, how entertaining you are. From the bottom of my heart, Felicia, I do not want this to end. It's going to be a two-parter for sure anyway, but I don't want it to end. But I just have to tell you from the bottom of my heart, on behalf of the entire enthusiast base of David Letterman and company, thank you so fucking much for everything that you guys have done inside that theater, outside of that theater. We very, very much appreciate you. Any final words before we sign off here?
Well, just to you, Mike, all I can think about at this moment is you for having this and inviting me on here and feeling the way you do and being a vehicle for the fans to try to keep it going and try to make it last forever. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. So I would like to end on that note.
All right. Well, I'm going to do my best to get my heart out of my stomach now after hearing that. Thank you. Hey, everybody, the coolest girl in the class just knows who I am. Thanks. You know what? We can do this. I can break the tension of that. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, I'm flabbergasted right now. We'll end off. We have one sponsor. Actually, I don't even know if I told you this. We have one sponsor at the Letterman podcast, one sponsor only, and it is Rupert G and the Hello Deli.
Oh my God, you're kidding me. Okay,
I'm not.
Here we
From
go.
like episode 9 or 10 on, they friends. We just had him on last week. He was last week's guest, him and his girlfriend. So nestled within the womb of the Ed Sullivan Theater, the Hello Deli is still there. If you live in New York, go get a soup sandwich. It's great food, great company. Rupert will take selfies with you. I still maintain that on average, he is the most selfied human being in New York. He's so kind and so nice. And he is the only place that you can get licensed Late Show with David Letterman merchandise still. Go to hello-deli.com. and order mugs, shirts, whatever you like. Rupert will pack it for you personally. Ask him to autograph the receipt. He'll do it. Ask him to add onions. He'll do that too. hello-deli.com. There you go. Felicia, any words before I do the outro? I'm going to do the outro with you here. So any words?
Go for it. I want to watch you do your thing.
This has been one of those things where I am just blown away by these conversations that we have. And this is what we want to do here at the Letterman podcast is tell these stories, keep them alive, maybe provide some insights and if we're lucky, a little bit of entertainment as well. So thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you for all the support that has come in since we started this last April. I can't believe what's happened since then. I am really looking forward to what's happening moving forward. We've got some great guests coming up. This has been another episode, one of my very favorite episodes. I know I say that about most of them, but boy, I can't fake this. This has just been so fucking great. Of another episode of the Letterman podcast. She is Felicia Collins. My name is Mike Chisholm. Thank you and good night.
Overcoat and underpants.